Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation this afternoon. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about 3 weeks, 36 mass shootings in the country. We're going to share with you some of the latest data as we're looking at the situation that happened out here in California, where 10 people were killed over the weekend, and how this is a very, very serious problem in America. We'll have that conversation. Also, let's talk about Bethune-Cookman. I'm not talking Ed Reed, but the students are saying Ed Reed was right. Students are protesting the condition of dorms, even posting photos of mold in the dorm rooms. Yeah, it's creating a huge problem for HBCUs because guess what, folks? This ain't the first HBCU that had this problem. We'll talk about that. Also, we got to check in with my guy Scotty as we talk all things sports, from Ed Reed to Shannon Sharpe, what Uncle Shannon had to deal with over the weekend, and so much more. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. You ready to rock and roll? So am I. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, also want to first let you know that we are streaming right now live on Amazon. Make sure that you pick up your Amazon Fire TV, because we're streaming there live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you got to do is say, Alexa, play news from Black Star Network, and you will see us officially as part of the lineup on Amazon News. So make sure that you do your part to support us and subscribe to Black Star Network. And make sure, again, you pick up your Amazon Fire Stick TV remote. All right, folks, that's going to happen there. All right, let's jump into the discussion about what's going on with the mass shootings in this country. We have, unfortunately, saw the latest mass shooting in Monterey Park, California, right here in the LA area, where 10 people were killed, over 10 people were killed, and many more were injured at a dance party. It has been identified that the shooter was a 72-year-old man who was a patron of this dance hall. And when he was stopped for a traffic violation, that's when he had pulled the trigger on himself, causing a self-inflicted wound. And some would even had reported that he was on his way to commit a second mass shooting before that stop happened. So we're looking at another unfortunate and tragic situation in this country. The unfortunate part about it, even more so than just this incident, is the fact that we are only 3 weeks into the new year of 2023. And folks, we have already experienced 36 mass shootings. I want to break down some data for you. Then we're going to be checking in with Dr. Jason Nichols, professor of the African American Studies program at the University of Maryland. But take a look at these numbers, folks, as this is coming out from, and here's the funny part, crazy part. There isn't any quote unquote mass shooting database, but these numbers are coming from various sources that are keeping track, because the federal government has not created a specified space for these types of shootings as much as we're seeing. The FBI is certainly keeping track, but there are other agencies or other institutions that are helping to keep a tally of where we are. But take a look at some of the latest data around this situation. This is coming out of CNN, when they reported that firearm injuries are now the leading cause of death among young people, people younger than 24 in the United States, according to a study published in the December 2022 edition of Pediatrics, which is the journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics. We're looking at that situation. Young people are being harmed by guns. Now, from 2015 through 2020, there were at least 22,070 unintentional shootings by children under 18 in the U.S., according to a report from Everytown. Those shootings resulted in 765 deaths and 1,366 injuries. So that's the situation there. Now, let me share this with you for this other part of this. which is even more shocking, folks, because as much as we're talking about these mass shootings, take a look at the numbers around how many folks actually own guns in this country. There are about 393 million privately owned firearms in the U.S. According to an estimate by the Switzerland-based Small Arms Survey, that's 120 guns for every 100 American. Now, while the exact number of civilian-owned firearms is difficult to calculate due to a variety of factors, including unregistered weapons, the illegal trade, and global conflict, no other nation has more civilian guns than people. We have about 320 million people in this country. About 45% of U.S. adults say they live in a household with a gun, according to an October 2022 Gallup survey. I want to bring in my brother, Dr. Jason Nichols, who is a professor, and he can give us a little bit more insight into this situation. But Doc, good to have you on again, brother. Thank you for joining us. Oh, we got you on mute right there, brother. There we go.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us, Doc.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, let's look at this situation. 3 weeks, 36 mass shootings. We just saw the unfortunate situation in Monterey Park, California. Over 10 people were killed in that situation. What do you make of this? What do we make of this? Now, when we hear about what we just heard about over the weekend with Monterey Park, or when we hear about a school shooting, is one thing. And there's a big conversation about guns and access to guns and making gun laws strict and all of those things, and talk from everything from making sure that there are red flags when gun owners on potential gun owners and all of those things. But I'm just blown away about the number of mass shootings, and this is the other part of the conversation, Doc. Mass shootings and how it's clearly defined, and the government defines mass shootings as a shooting incident where 4 or more people are killed, excluding the shooter. So right. 4 or more people are killed. In that case, that ramps up the amount of mass shootings in this country, because we're even seeing this level of harm in cities like Baltimore, Los Angeles, across the country. And this is not like at a dance party. This is in a neighborhood. So what is going on, Doc?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I am someone who believes in the Second Amendment and gun rights and all of that. But at the same time, I think that there can be too much of a good thing. There are too many guns in our country, too many guns on the streets, and people are actually wanting even more lax gun laws. I think that, I think you should have the right to own a firearm for personal protection or whatever your reason, sports or whatever, but to have multiple guns and to have lax laws to be able to carry a weapon without a license, I think is all problematic and leads to more violent encounters. The other thing is, I think that the right has a point. We have a mental health issue in this country. We don't necessarily address it. We only stigmatize it. We don't have ways of dealing with it other than, calling the police, who are not necessarily equipped to deal with people with mental health crises, which makes family members and others in the community reluctant to actually report somebody who may do harm to themselves and others. So I think there's a multitude of issues that are related to some of these mass shootings that we need to address as a society. But guns is a major one of them. We should not have this many guns. It's funny. I watch all these TV shows from Great Britain, and if you have a gun in Great Britain, you're a bad dude. Like, you are like running the streets. One guy with a pistol runs the entire neighborhood. But here in the United States, everyone has guns. And I think that that's a really dangerous thing when we, put it together with all of the other issues that we have in American society.
Wow. So if it's like that in Great Britain, and that's huge, right? That's huge in terms of the number of folks over there. Why do you think they are able to kind of keep things under wraps versus what we see here in this country, Doc?
Well, I think a lot of it is a misinterpretation of the Second Amendment. This idea that you are supposed to have a gun, you can have a gun, doesn't matter. We have people who are finding ways to get guns. We can't track, guns properly. Now you got ghost guns. We've got all of these things here in the United States that make things much different. We're a different kind of country. We are a country where guns are part of our cultural fabric. I know, my great grandfather was one of the kindest, people in the world. Wouldn't harm a fly, would open a window and let the fly out. But he had several guns because he was from the South and they hunt and fish and those sorts of things. However, I think when you bring it to today's society, I think things are very different now. Guns are used for different purposes. We constantly fearmonger in our culture. And now you've got guns, more guns than people, guns in everyone's hands. And I think it's a really, really dangerous thing.
It's a very dangerous thing. And this is the other part of it is the fact that we still resort to violence as being the best way to deal with a situation, right? And I think that's been cultivated in us since we're babies. You know what I mean? That if you have a problem with somebody, especially in the Black community, let's keep it 100, right? You have a problem with somebody, just smack. And that's what we say, man, if they go off on the mouth, hit them in the mouth. Right. That type of situation, I think we're slowly turning the tide and turning the corner on how we handle, situations. But that is still a major part of our culture. That
you're gonna give me a trouble,
is the only way.
You're gonna get me in trouble, Faraji, because I'm gonna really, say some stuff.
Come on, brother, let's go. That's the culture, baby. Let's keep it 100.
If we're gonna talk about Black culture,
right?
One of the things that I think we need to address is violence in our households. So the way that I grew up, and probably the way you grew up, it was, if someone does something wrong, you would get the belt.
Yeah.
And I think we're cultivating this idea that we don't communicate. You know what I mean? We don't sit down and talk to children. We're teaching them implicitly that the way to deal with anything that you find objectionable is violence. And then, of course, there's the old, somebody's picking on you at the park. You're going to get it worse in here if you don't go out there and handle it, and all those kinds of things. We don't allow for kids to have fear, to be scared, all these kinds of situations that we need to address within our community. But I think corporal punishment, there is so much research out there that says corporal punishment is damaging for children, that it causes all kinds of problems, mental problems, anxiety, hypervigilance, anger. There's a cacophony of evidence that says it's damaging. But what I often hear when I talk to people, and I talk to people on social media, there's always the response from African-American people.
Come on, I know what you're about to say, Doc. Go ahead and say it, brother.
And I'm okay.
Right. There it is. Bing bong.
It's like, you're probably not as okay as you think you are. You know what I mean? And
we're not okay.
We're not okay.
We are far from okay, brother.
Right.
Real talk. We're far from okay, man.
It's okay to not be okay.
You want to say it.
Yeah.
You want to say it.
Yeah, I think we can, the thing is, we need to promote things like mental health care and all of that, and devalue violence as a way to solve problems. Teach kids how to communicate. You know what I mean? Not always turn to corporal punishment. Look, I have 3 kids. I understand it's frustrating, but your frustration is your problem as a parent. To be honest, that's your issue to deal with. Yep. And what you should learn to do is communicate and learn to solve problems that way. And you teach your kids that so that they don't resort to violence first.
Absolutely. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, folks, I want to hear what you got to say about this 3 weeks, 36 mass shootings in this country. When does the trauma end? We're going to continue our conversation with our brother, Dr. Jason Nichols. We're just getting heated up here. So stay with us. There's more conversation right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture. We are continuing our conversation talking about the plethora of mass shootings that continue to just plague this country as we're looking at the recent data that's showing that just in the first 3 weeks of 2023, folks, there have already been 36 mass shootings in this country. And that includes the latest mass shooting that we just heard about over the weekend where 11 people, the number has been inched up by 11 people have unfortunately lost their lives in that dance hall massacre in Monterey Park, California, by a 72-year-old man who just went berserk and unfortunately killed 11, injuring many more. And it leaves this country wondering, when will it end? We've been talking with Dr. Jason Nichols, who is a lecturer, who is a part of the Department of African American Studies from the University of Maryland, to give us some insight and analysis as to what we should expect in the new conversations about gun control and the violence in our society at large. So we want you to join us in the conversation. Post your comments in our chat as we're streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook and blackstarnetwork.com. And we would certainly love to hear from you. All right, Doc, I want to bring in some of our online culture crew because folks have been checking in, sharing their thoughts. And I'm blown away. I'm blown away by the fact that, I know that there's a gun problem in this country. I know that this affects everybody, whether you're Black, white, Asian, Latino, doesn't matter. But the fact remains that, and I'm trying to key in on Black folks. We have a gun problem. We have a violence problem. I'm from a city, the great city of Baltimore, where we are no stranger to violence. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had 5 students that were shot in right across the street from a major high school in Baltimore. We had children that were killed right in Baltimore, a 7-year-old that were killed right in Baltimore. So when we're talking about this violence, people seem to think that it's outside. Oh, this is what white boys do. This is what white people do. But you don't think of it that mass shootings happen in Black neighborhoods every day, unfortunately. Now, I think that it's important that we understand that, like, we put that label of mass shooting when we hear about it on a national level. But when you see 4 Black people, when you see a drive-by shooting, when you see any type of gang beef, street beef, that's a mass shooting. If we start to, I think, and Doc, tell me if I'm wrong about this, but if we start to really take on this thought, like, you know what? This is a mass shooting, that maybe it will drive home the point how serious the situation really is. Do you think that will help, that we start calling it a mass shooting versus, oh, somebody got shot or it's just a shooting?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to do is address, like you said, the fact, because it's used against us so often, that we don't have sometimes the honest internal dialogue amongst our people that, yes, we have a violence problem. And we know the roots of it. We know the roots of white supremacy and the conditions that it's created that are make it ripe for violence within our communities. But who's going to save us but us? So we need to address the fact that there is a violence problem, the fact that the number one killer of young Black men is gunshots, is violence. We need to address that. We need to talk about that. Yes, all of these other issues are important. That we have so many issues to address within our community. And I know that from the outside, you hear on Fox News, what about Chicago? What about South LA? What about Baltimore? They love to throw that at us. But sometimes we have to shut that out and have, like Malcolm used to say, talk shop, within our own community about what are we going to do about young African-American men and violence within our community, and what are we going to do to save lives and give them hope? That's a real conversation that a lot of people are having. In Baltimore, there was Baltimore ceasefire and 100 Black men, and there are lots of activists on the ground doing the work in every city. I assume they have that in every city. But we need to, first of all, give them our attention, give them our resources, help them to do the work, and be a part of something that's going to save lives. Now, I understand there's so much for Black people to deal with because of white supremacy and what it does to our communities. But violence and getting us to understand the value of our own lives, it has to be high on that list. There are lots of mass shootings in Black communities. Yes, they're not the random shootings. They're not the ideological, let me leave a manifesto shootings. But, like you said, drive-by shootings, targeted shootings that sometimes go wrong. And, bystanders get hurt. These are the things that we need to have a conversation about within our community to give us the pride and the resources and all that to address violence that generally comes from young men. And there's something there that we need to have a conversation about as a society as a whole about young men and violence. But within our community particularly, I think if you had a lot of the leaders of our past, they'd be talking about that right now. They'd be talking about what do we do for our community.
Absolutely. Beat Face Lay, you checked in and said, look, I wouldn't harm a fly, but I have a firearm. I would never use it unless my life was in danger. I hope so. I hope you're a responsible firearm user. And I believe you are. If you're going to say that, that's good to know. But I appreciate you, Beat Face Lay, for checking in. Willie, my guy, you said the Second Amendment says well-regulated militia. No one's regulated in America. I was damn near in a shootout at a 7-Eleven last night. No cap. I saw the gun the woman had. Unfortunate situation. And I'm glad, Willie, that you were safe and not harmed in that situation, because, that situation could go left really, really quick. But yes, it's also that piece of just walking around, the gun laws. And there's so much fear of each other in this country. That's been exploited to the nth power. There's so much fear. We are so afraid of each other. We are so afraid of each other to the point where it's like, you look at me wrong, I feel like you're a threat.
Right.
You cross the way you walk up on me, it's a threat. You know what I mean? Like we in a conversation, you don't agree with me, it's a threat. And that's unfortunately the mindset for so many people. Real Brooklyn, my guy, you checked in and said, nothing wrong with guns. We don't hold people accountable as we should, and that's the issue. It all starts at home, and the home is being monitored by video games and social media. I get that. But look, the fact is that you can go in other countries, and Dr. Jason, you said this in the beginning. You can go into the UK, to Great Britain, and their gun situation is much different. They got just as many people in some of these major cities out there, but their gun situation is much different. Why is that? And we got to really look at that. Part of the data that's showing Australia, in certain cities, certain countries and continents, Australia, New Zealand, even some parts of Africa, they have better control on guns than we do here in America. I mean, and yet we tout ourselves as being, Dr. Jason, we tout ourselves as being the most civilized, the most technologically advanced, the people on the planet with the highest morals and values. I'm not so sure about that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. No. How is that the case? And we got more guns and putting more people in prison at the same time, but we are so far advanced. And I'm talking about people. I'm not talking about technology. I'm not talking about economic systems. I'm talking about people. Are the people of America, are we that far advanced? Do we have the right to stand as the moral authority on being decent human beings? That's the part I'm talking about, Professor.
Yeah, I mean, I am somebody who is not a believer in this idea of American exceptionalism, that we are somehow exceptional. I think America has issues. We just, as you stated, have in many cases a better economic situation than many other places. We're not as desperate. Our standard of living is higher, which will produce different outcomes. But this idea that we are somehow better people is just not grounded in fact. And we see in a lot of the things that we value as a society are not people-based. You know, we will sit there and spend lots more money on building weapons. By the way, the United States, I don't care what anybody says. You can talk about China. You can talk about Russia. We see Russia is getting beaten by Ukraine. The United States militarily could destroy the entire world 4 times over. We are militarily incredibly strong, yet we put so much money into that and not a lot of money into people, to the point where we are talking about Social Security and Medicare being in danger. We don't want to give every single American health insurance, which we could totally do. We could give universal health insurance. We could do Medicare for all. These are not impossible things, but we would, rather spend money on weapons. So that shows you our priorities are not humanistic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go to McCole. McCole, my sister, you checked in and said, for some people, guns equal power. Some people love power. Some people like being able to control other people. I believe that we have to consider America's issue with violence, period. Yeah, I mean, that's the American way. If you're not taking people, taking advantage of people, unfortunately, this is the American way that we all have been taught and groomed, and we all had to be reprogrammed to not be this way anymore. But when you're a child, you are taught and groomed that if you in order for you to get power, you got to take it.
Absolutely.
In order for you to be at the top, you gotta step on somebody else, right? Like, that's the way that we have been taught. And that is if I don't care what nobody says, that's a violent mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That you got to violate somebody else's peace, somebody else's rights, somebody else's space, so you can get ahead. That's violence. That's what they call violence, folks. It's not just about guns and knives. That's violence on a person's existence and their own humanity, Professor. And I'm not saying that we should teach our children to be wimps or soft or anything of that nature, but you got to be considerate. Like, we're not here by ourselves. I think everybody wants the same thing.
Right. I think we teach young people to be aggressors. When a lot of the gun owners here, and I'll be honest, I'm a gun owner myself, but one of the things is, I think the gun owners in the culture crew are saying they're defensive gun owners. They are people who are only going to use their guns to defend themselves or shoot at the range. That's it. And I think that a lot of that's why I'm not putting it all on guns. Guns are a big part of this, because people aren't getting, hit with, Japanese throwing stars. They're getting hit with bullets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So let's not make this, we don't have a knife problem. We don't have a baseball bat problem. We have a gun problem. And, I've never seen a mass baseball bat hitting. You know what I mean? There have been mass knifings, but they're rare. That's a close distance weapon. You have to be close to somebody to knife them. And you have to have a certain kind of stomach to be able to go up and stick a knife in somebody several times, Whereas I can shoot you from a distance and I can dehumanize you under those circumstances. You're not a human, you're a target. That's totally knifing somebody. And we have mass shootings. We have people getting shot, 4 or more people, dying from gunshot wounds. And that is a problem. And part of that is the mentality that we have in America and some of the laws that we have in America. And people are trying to actually, and I talked to some guys from NAGA, the National Association for African American Gun Association. I'm getting it mixed up. But I've talked to those brothers, and they're good brothers. I respect them. But this idea that we should loosen, a lot of the restrictions on gun ownership and gun carrying at that, when you're not somebody who's under threat, we have this fear that, but it could happen. I've talked to people all the time. They're like, well, I could be at Walmart and something could happen. And I'm like, you could get hit by a bus.
That's true.
Like anything can happen. You get struck by lightning.
Right.
But you are sitting there thinking that you have to carry a weapon because you're afraid. We need to get rid of some of the fears that we have in society, and also stop being aggressors all the time and start really dealing with, as I said, these shootings are coming from young men. And there's an issue with manhood, and that's how you get the development. I know I'm going off, but you get the development of, the manosphere, because young men are really struggling finding identity. And so these are things that we need to address as a society.
Absolutely.
To put men on the right path.
Absolutely. Look, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, we got a few moments left with Dr. Jason Nichols. We're going to continue to keep our eyes on this situation. But, folks, I hope that we brought up some very, very valid points for you to consider as we have this bigger conversation around mass shootings. Folks, when we come forward, let's talk about another form of violence that we're seeing in HBCUs, where students are protesting and complaining about the condition of dorm rooms at Bethune-Cookman College. This is the same college that was looking to bring in Ed Reed to serve as the head coach of their football program. We heard about what Mr. Reed had to say about this situation. But more importantly, let's look at what's going on with the students and how they are dealing with the lack of the negligence there at the college. So we'll have that conversation, kick it off with Dr. Jason Nichols, and then continue it. So stay with us. Those discussions are up next right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture. Let's talk about what's going on at HBCU, Bethune-Cookman College, folks. This is a very, very special college, an historic college and university right there in the Florida area. Well, folks, apparently out there in Daytona Beach, Florida, students are not happy. There are a number of students that are planning a protest in response to the school's announcement. It has chosen not to hire NFL Hall of Famer Ed Reed as the new football coach, because Reed had criticized the conditions of the college, of the school. And now those students bear the slogan, Ed Reed was right, because now they're looking at the situation as students are looking at how they are being, the living conditions there at the college at Bethune-Cookman. There are a number of students that sent pictures after pictures, posting them on social media, and where they showed mold in the building. I want to bring my brother, Dr. Jason Nichols, back into this conversation very quickly. Doc, when they're showing this mold, and I'm looking at some of these pictures, and I don't know if, and I'm going to see if we can kind of grab them, Keenan, but some of the mold of the students in the dorm rooms, on their personal belongings, in the windows and whatnot. Students are complaining and saying, like, look, Ed Reed wasn't saying nothing that we have that was wrong. He may not have said it in the best way, but this is supposed to be an HBCU. How are you allowing students to stay in a building where there's so much obvious mold and there's so much, the building is not very well kept? So talk to us a little bit about this situation, Doc. It's more. This story is developing, and I gotta let folks know this story is certainly developing. But as far as we know, Doc, what's your take?
So they're saying that there's mold. They're saying there's rats. So it's interesting, and you and I have talked about this. You and I are not only are we brothers, but we're parents as well. And one of the things, and I know this as someone who's been on a college campus for most of my life in some way, shape, or form, the one thing that parents expect over everything, even over a decent education, when you send your child to college, they're flying the nest. The one thing that you expect from the college is that your child will be kept safe. And so I would tell anybody out there who has an issue with this news coming out, who has an issue with the students exposing this. I don't think anybody would, but if they do, I would tell them to look at the effects of black mold on a person's health. You can die from that. So not that, we were just talking about violence. This isn't violence. This is them going to sleep in an unsafe environment, under unsafe conditions. And you cannot have that at a university. And Ed Reed, you say maybe he didn't say it in the right way. What's the
some of the students said?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, Doc, that's what some of the students said. Like, maybe he didn't say it the right way, but
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure there's a right way to say that. If I found that my daughters or my son were in a school or at a university, and in their dorm room they had mold and rats, and they were probably afraid to go to sleep. I know I have, asthma. If I were to have to deal with that, in a dorm room, like, I'd have a lot of expletives. If that were the case at the University of Maryland, I would come on your show and I would probably state more expletives, because that is, infuriating for kids who are paying and going into debt, by the way. These are the same kids. We know HBCU kids carry more debt than kids at PWIs. And so these are the same black kids that are going to carry debt, and you're not even keeping them safe. Not learning aside, learning is important. Don't get me wrong. I'm an instructor, I'm a teacher, I'm a lecturer, I'm a professor. Learning is important, but safety is number one. I want my child to go to school and come back in the same condition that I sent him, just a little more educated and smarter.
Absolutely. Let me just show these quick photos, and I know you got to hop off, Doc, but look, take a look at these photos, folks. These are from the students. Look at the condition of this. This is this is like on someone's bed. Let's just take a look at them, folks. This is from, look at this. That is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
This is from, it looks like it might be from the window or something.
Yeah,
no, the back of the wall. That's a picture. That's a picture. Let's keep showing them. because you got students that are saying, look, on personal belongings like hats, they had, like you said, rats in the dorms, and they also said they complained of no hot water in the dorm space, as well as no AC, that they got to keep the windows open year round because there's no AC. Look at this. Like, if I came to a college and I saw my sons or my daughters, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I mean, that's just not acceptable.
It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
And you expect Ed Reed to go to, some 5-star athlete who's being, I don't know if anybody, I would tell you, go on YouTube after you watch The Culture, go on YouTube and look up the dorms at Alabama. And you want to go and have Ed Reed go into some 5-star athlete's, room with his grandmother and sit down there and say, I'm going to keep your child safe. Yeah. I'm going to help them to earn a college degree. When the conditions aren't even safe, and then he's basically, you asking him to go to somebody's grandmother's house and lie to their face.
Right.
And that's what Ed Reed was showing in the frustration that he said. Yes, those conditions are not safe for any human being to be living under, and particularly to be learning. I know I'm not going to be reading books in my room if I'm afraid that a rat is going to pop out at any second. So this is not, the kind of thing that we can just brush aside. And again, I said this on Roland Martin's show. There's a joke, and you probably remember this, Faraji. There was a joke in, I think it was Next Friday. And Day was saying, oh, look at my 20s out there. And Ice Cube or Craig was like, yo, those are 10s. But what did Day say? He said, I keep them clean though. We can't, the conditions in there, that's what Ed Reed was saying. Keep the conditions clean. We understand that you're cash strapped. We understand this is an HBCU. We understand this is in Alabama. We get that. But keep it clean. Keep it safe. That's all that they're asking for. And that isn't to impugn the character of the board at Bethune-Cookman, but we do say that you can't get mad at Ed Reed for being frustrated with that, and you're not doing anything about it. That's all.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. The problem is that when we, and this is the thing, I understand HBCU pride. I worked at Morgan State University for my professional career a long time. I understand how it is that you want to put your best foot forward. But when we start to hear on the unfortunate stories of students at HBCUs, money getting misappropriated, physical conditions of the buildings not up to par and up to standard, we gotta face it like it is and say it like it is. It's wrong.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to sweep. Don't talk to me about Black pride, Black HBCU pride, because you don't want to, damage the reputation. But what about the students that are there?
Right.
What about? Remember that the same situation happened at Howard University.
Right.
Where students were protesting about the physical conditions of their dorm. Like, what's going on?
Right.
Somebody needs to get fired. Somebody needs to, some heads need to start rolling, bro. Like, it just can't be, you can't talk about this black stuff and trying to helping the next generation, but then you muting their voices when they speak out against you.
Right.
About something that you're wrong about. You're wrong.
You're dead wrong.
You're wrong like 2 left feet, and then you get mad at the students for using their voice to protest against your wrongness.
And let me tell you something, Bethune-Cookman, they better, I got to roll, but I will say this, that Bethune-Cookman is in real danger, because if somebody, you better believe there's somebody who sat in those dorms for 4 years who has health problems because of it, has serious asthma, has serious respiratory issues, has suffered because they lived under those conditions. Bethune-Cookman better make sure that they start changing what's going on down there and make it better for those students. And those students, yes, it's a Black institution. Yes, but it bears the name of Mary McLeod Bethune. Let's take pride in that. Let's make it so that it is the type of place that you would want Mary McLeod Bethune would want to sleep in her own dorms.
Right.
Now
right.
it's not that. Mary McLeod Bethune would be upset about the conditions.
Brother, please.
That bears her name.
Please, ain't that the truth? Look, I know you got to hop off. Dr. Jason Nichols, lecturer for the Department of African American Studies at the University of Maryland. Always a pleasure to connect with you, brother. So God willing, we'll reconnect with you next week. But thank you so much for giving your insight and analysis about this. We're going to continue the conversation. But thank you, brother Doc, for coming on today.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to continue the conversation because then I got to bring my guy Scotty from Off Script TV to share his thoughts about, how this situation manifested itself with the conditions that are affecting students. And then with Ed Reed not being able to get the contract, the school has officially rescinded the contract to have Ed Reed join. And we're going to talk about the aftermath of that situation and a lot of other sports stories. So stay with us, folks. Those conversations are coming up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20036-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been talking about the conditions of Bethune-Cookman College and the conditions that has caused NFL Hall of Famer Ed Reed to just go on a social media tirade that may have costed him the opportunity to coach the HBCU's football team. And as a result of what we're seeing in Bethune, as a result of what he said in his social media rant, about the conditions, the poor conditions of the school, it led students to also use that moment as a way to highlight their conditions in the dorm rooms. And we were just talking to Dr. Jason Nichols, just sharing with you some of these pictures very quickly. Keenan, let's show some of these pictures. Look at these pictures, folks. This is the mold at Bethune-Cookman College, as you see on the bed, on the back of like a poster or a picture from the walls. Bethune-Cookman College has a lot to answer for. And it's not just about Ed Reed. It's about the conditions of these students. It's about the fact that these students, Black students, who are paying money to get a quality education at a college that they thought was going to be a safe space for them to learn and grow and be cultivated in their Blackness, has treated the students like the secondhand citizens, putting them in these living conditions where the buildings are falling apart. There were other pictures which shows that there were still ceiling parts missing. They were showing some mold in other places. And it's got many people. Take a look at this. Imagine walking through the dorm rooms looking with this situation hanging. Stuff is hanging from the ceiling. And I know I got some engineers, a part of my online culture crew. Y'all know that's a problem. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. That is a real problem. Let me bring in my guy now as we talk a little bit about all of this. My brother Scotty from Off Script TV. Check it out. Scotty. Look, I saw, look, when I heard about Ed Reed, I put it down there. I was like, I got to talk to Scotty. Please let Scotty be available on Monday. Please let Scotty be available.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I was hurt, bro. I was hurt.
Now we saw, now here's the thing. And Keenan, just, if you can pull up when you get a chance, pull up that social media piece from Ed Reed. Now we saw how upset and frustrated and passionate he was about picking up the trash off the field. Mm-hmm. That's on the outside of the school. Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing pictures of students having mold on their beds, brother. Rats, no running hot water, no AC down in Florida. Brother, what is going on down there?
Man, listen. I've been getting calls all weekend from Bethune-Cookman alums, from football players at Bethune-Cookman. It's really, I can't even describe how many layers this goes into, right? Because I've even had people from administration talk about what's going on their side. So what I want to address is a lot of people are going to say this. Well, Scotty, the underfunding of HBCUs is a systemic issue that's been, I get it. But this is the analogy I want to give to you. My dad was not in my life. My dad was in jail most of my life, right? And if I'm a 35-year-old man and I can't keep a job, I can't manage my money, I don't know how to speak to people, the excuse I cannot keep saying is because my dad wasn't in my life. People know, like, I know he wasn't in my life. People know that they're like, we understand that. Okay. We understand that, but I have to do the work to be a better person. So I give this to all the people that keep saying that. We all know HBCUs are underfunded, but I say this, the money that you do get,
come on,
do you manage it well? Because you cannot tell me that the systemic underfunding of Bethune is the lead cause of Black mold being in this institution when they just paid to have new dorms. And they almost lost their accreditation because they got in a loan that was too much for them. So it's bad mismanagement. I just got off the phone with a Bethune alum. She's been a 30-year alum. She said, Scotty, I know there's at least $50 million in the endowment. It should be, but we've gone through so many board of trustees and presidents and interim presidents. We don't know where the money's at. And I'll give you this, the last thing, before we even get to the mold and Ed and all this, the board of trustees is suing the National Alumni Association of Bethune. So I want you to think about that. If you at a school and you're the national alum, the school is suing its own alumni and wants them to be dissolved so they have no They have no connection to the school. Like I said, there's so many layers to this, Faraji. It don't even start with Ed Reed.
So that opens. So Scotty, my question is, why in the world would they bring an NFL Black Hall of Famer? Why would they bring him to the school under those conditions where he could highlight these conditions, take this situation to the next level? Because I don't know if a lot of people knew that this was a condition at Bethune-Cookman. But why would they even take the chance and say, okay, let's bring this Hall of Famer to the school? Did they really expect him to overlook all of that stuff?
Listen,
And they just keep his eyes on the money and the opportunity and the spotlight and not think about the well-being of the campus or the students?
This is what I think happened. And stay with me here. I know we've been taking breaks and stuff, but stay with me right here, right? I feel Bethune did Ed Reed like a guy who got like 3 baby mamas, but you just tell him I got 1. Right? Because you're like, oh, they accept 1. 3, that's a little lot. She ain't going to talk to me if I tell her I got 3. I think they omitted some stuff from the initial conversation, but that does not absolve Ed Reed for not doing his due diligence and rolling up to the school and saying, hey, what is all of this? I think Bethune should have came on and said, hey, man, we got this wrong. We got this wrong. We got this wrong. We got this wrong. How can you help us? And I think Ed Reed, that then puts the ball in Ed Reed's court and saying, do I really want to take on this monument of problems just as a head coach, or am I okay to just step back and say, yeah, nah, this is not the job for me? So I think I would give it like 60-40, 60 Bethune, 40% Ed. He's not absolved for not, bro, you can't take a job as bad as Bethune and then cry on social media talking about, they even got the fence fixed. I'm like, bro, what did you do?
Let me do that. Let's for those who may not see it, hey Keenan, let's play a little bit what Brother Ed had to say. This is just a snippet because he went on his tirade. Check this out, folks.
I chose not to, but now I'm out here walking with the football team, picking up trash. But I'm mutting us. Man, get out of here, man. I should leave. I'm not even under contract doing this. I'm mutting us. Man, get out of here, man. They mutt me. These motherfuckers ain't even clean my goddamn office when I got here. I'm mutting y'all. Get your ass, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. All this shit here was trash in front of me. Who you think got this shit cleared out? That building right there got trash in it. It's fucking trash. What are you talking about? Need no goddamn donors to come out and help out because people just want money. That's why I don't fuck with social network. Fuck out of here, man.
All right, folks, a dispute over a
Wow.
Like what? Like Ed.
Wow.
They had 2 natural disasters that hit Daytona, right? You're down in Miami. You couldn't drove up to Daytona and just look around. Once again, the president could have came up to Ed Reed and said, hey, man, let me take you around, show you some stuff, what's going on. This is the problem, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, they both have a part to play in this. Ed is not absolved for not doing his due diligence, and Bethune is not absolved from not relaying this information to Ed, right? Because if I tell you what it is then on you to deal with it. You can't come back and cry and complain about it because I told you what it was. I told you I had 3 baby mamas. I told you I got 6 kids. You decided to deal with me. You know what I'm saying? You can't get mad at me now. So I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that.
I'm trying, Scotty. I'm trying to realize. I feel like there's so, like you said, there are layers of problems here. I'm trying to figure out the Bethune College student, the black student, right?
Feel for them dudes,
bro. What happens to them? See, I'm not okay. Ed Reed, he's out of it. They rescinded his contract. They put out a statement. We can show a statement once we get back from break. But I'm still thinking about these students, man. They can't just walk away because that's their school. They can't just walk away from this.
Yeah, and Ed Reed can, and Ed Reed's still going to be Ed Reed at the end of the day. So this don't really hurt Ed Reed. He's going to be Ed Reed at the end of the day. It's the students, and I get so sick and tired of this black mantra, what happens in his house stays in this house, right?
Oh, brother, please.
I can't stand it, because if that's the case, Howard still is going to have mold in the kids' dorms and the kids' classrooms, not having internet and Wi-Fi, all these issues that they're dealing with. If they do not come out and protest, that's like you telling Martin Luther King, hey, don't talk about this racism going out here in these streets. Like, bro, like, you have to do something. You have to stand on something, and you can't keep allowing administrations to get away because you want it to be done in the backdoor channel whenever they feel like doing it, but you won't hold nobody's feet to the fire. So it kills me when I hear HBCU alums say, well, Scotty, we shouldn't put family business out there. It's going to make us look bad. My mom will always say, I don't have anything to talk. You won't have anything to talk about me if I give you something, right? You won't have anything to say about me if I don't give you anything. So if they're doing their due diligence, if they're doing what they're supposed, what can the students complain about if there ain't no mold? If there ain't no mold, there ain't nothing to protest.
That's it.
It's that simple.
That's it, bro.
And I've lived in black mold. I've been in the military. I've been in situations where black mold, I tell you this, it is a systemic problem. You can't just take out a vent. You got to clean out the whole ventilation system. Why? Because it's all spores, right? So you think you clean it with bleach or you clean it with stuff like that, because that's what they told us in the military. Oh, just clean it with bleach. No, it's systemic. It goes all the way through the ventilation system, because why? It's spores. It's just spores, moisture, dark. It just keeps growing. So yeah, the kids can wash their sheets. The kids can throw it away. But I promise you, it's just going to keep coming back. It's going to keep coming back. It's just going to keep coming back.
Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to continue to talk about this. And this is just not about Ed Reed. This is a much larger issue that this could possibly open the conversation, open up the floodgates, where Bethune-Cookman could be shut down as a college. Is that a real possibility? We'll discuss the possibility of that. Plus, we got to talk about what's happening with Shannon Sharpe and so many other big sports conversations that happened over the weekend. Folks, got a lot to talk to as we talk to our guy, Scotty, from Off Script TVs, and of course with you. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to the show. We have been talking about the very, very real and serious problems at Bethune-Cookman College, not just from the fact that Ed Reed is no longer going to be the head coach of the school's football team, but because of the unfortunate and tragic conditions that students there at the college have found themselves in as they are dealing with the issues of mold, no hot water, no working AC, and so many other problems in the dorms. And it has opened up the floodgates for criticism and for some people to wonder what is really going on at the HBCU. I've been talking to my guy, Scotty, from Off Script TV, as we look at this, because this is a combination of sports and sports news, as well as I would just say regular news, hardcore topics of why we are finding our HBCU, Scotty, to be in this condition, whether you're talking about Bethune-Cookman, we brought up Howard. I mean, there seems to be these ongoing stories every so many months where we're looking at what's going on at the HBCUs, things that we probably would have kept swept under the rug, but now they're coming to light. And I'm wondering, bro, why is that? Why is that? Why aren't we having a very real conversation outside of the funding? You already made an excellent point about it. But I don't think people understand that at these HBCUs, it's not just about the lack of funding. It's just about, like you mentioned, the money that you do get. Why is this money going to the places of that school where they need to be? Why isn't it to help students with the way the students need to be helped? And I'm really wondering about this, bro. Are we shooting ourselves in the foot when we talk about HBCU pride, but not really dealing with the real issues?
You are, but you got to get down to the nitty gritty of the thing of like, who are you hiring, right? Because if I hire the wrong person that doesn't know what they're doing, it just sends, it's like a domino effect of issues, right? So if I hire a CFO, because that's the thing, when I start hearing from alums and things like that, they always start bringing up of this person getting hired, this person getting hired. And then it also comes down to voting. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, but it comes down to voting because Mississippi and Louisiana, those HBCUs aren't allowed to pick their own presidents. They actually get assigned by a board. So if you get assigned, if my president gets assigned by an all-white board, they send me a president that is mismanaging my school because the president's hiring people that don't do their job, right? I make a complaint to who? The board that hired them. Man, listen. Hey,
Scotty, I don't think a lot of people know that.
Bro, it's such a bad system. You got like the Louisiana board, the ULS system, and you have the IHL board in Mississippi where they appoint schools presidents. But if you have a problem with the school president, you make a complaint to the board who hired the school president. Like, who does that? Where's the checks and balances in the system? Where's the third independent party that the schools can feel comfortable going to say, hey, this person isn't doing their job correctly. Can we get them out? I know we're going, but you got to see this thing in a full circumference of what is going on at the HBCU levels. Yes, there's mismanagement of funds. Yes, there's systemic underfunding, but also there's a political aspect of this where people are getting the government, Ron DeSantis, you see he's trying to get rid of CRT and black. Dog, you got an HBCU school. You don't think they're going to take black education? Like, that don't even make sense. Like, it's just so many layers to this thing, but you got to be able to control what you can control. And Bethune being a private institution, you might have the hardest time of getting funding, but you have the most freedom to put whoever in place than you want. I don't understand how this how this stuff gets happening. So, and it starts with the Board of Trustees member, the judge, Belvin Perry, who was a part of the Casey Anthony case. You know, he's running this whole thing in the shamuck, right? It's crazy. It's really just crazy it's like a Lifetime movie. You're like, wow, is this really going on? But there's just factions of it. All you can do is shake your head like, man, this is bad. It just gets worse.
Absolutely. Let me go to my online culture crew because folks are checking in. Lori Parks, Lori, you checked in and said, look, they knew what the condition was at the college has been going on for years, leading up to the right now. Come on now, the student and parents need to get on. Need to figure out what's going on with especially with that money. So how you say you've been getting calls, Scotty, all weekend?
Yeah.
Are parents, students, what are they doing about this situation? They see that their potential head coach is out the door. Now they're hearing about the dorm conditions. What are parents saying? Are parents saying, look, we want our money back? Are parents talking about, filing a class action lawsuit against the school? Because this could open up that conversation. Like I said, Scotty, this could open up a situation where Bethune-Cookman could be shut down, bro, for health reasons and for other reasons.
Man, listen, I talked to a Bethune alum who has a student at the school. I've talked to a good friend of mine whose daughter works at the school. They said the nursing building is closed down because of mold. His daughter has to go into work with a mask on just to do her job at Bethune in certain cases. They've been having issues with mismanagement of funds, so they don't even know if they're going to get paid. The Bethune alum with the parent, she says that the kids are protesting today at 12 in the quad. They did that today. And listen, she thinks the ultimate goal of what this board of trustee members are trying to do, she thinks that, and this is a rumor, that they are trying to dissolve the school so Daytona State can take over the school, and then they merge and it becomes Daytona State. That's what she thinks the ultimate goal is, because a lot of the board of trustee members are not from Bethune. They're not alums of Bethune, nor have they helped in fundraising in any faction to benefit Bethune. So it's just, she sees a big conspiracy coming down the pipeline. And from what I've been seeing and what I've been told, I can't put any blame on why she feels that way or why she thinks that, because you've gone, 4 to 5 years with an interim president. And the reason you've gone with the interim president is because the board of trustee member, Belvin Perry, the head of the board, wanted to be the president of the institution. He didn't get the job. They gave it to another lady, and he still is the board of trustees chair. So I can dictate what I give the man. Listen, it is crazy. Listen, Roger, I'm telling you, bro, it's wild at Bethune. It's literally the Wild Wild West.
I mean, that and see, when I hear that type of reporting, bro, I like I say, it's only going to be a matter of time. It's only going to be a matter of time. And this gives Ron DeSantis just enough ammunition to shut down the school. And because he has the power to do that. He's going to shut down the school. I think he's going to make a political point.
That's fair.
While he do it.
That's fair.
He's going to make a political point saying, look, the education content is not relevant. And more importantly, look at the management. Look at how the money is being used. And then he's going to try to position himself as the savior of black students.
I think he's going to go the OSHA route, right? Like, I think he's going to go that environmental route, because you probably can't really dibble dabble with the private because it is a private institution. But like you said, if you see it as a health concern, if you see it as OSHA or, a workplace violations and all that type of stuff, yeah, I definitely can see him weaseling his way and taking over the school or making them dissolve themselves because of the mismanagement or opening themselves up to something else entirely. You know what I'm saying? So I can see
this situation. This situation is it sounds like, Scotty, that this is really just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah. The Ed Reed thing was just a domino. Yeah, it was just a domino.
So what about Ed Reed stepping in, or any other Hall of Fame, or any other, and I'm talking about major name, bigger voice folks down in Florida? Are there going to be an effort to try to, quote unquote, relieve the students of this burden? Like what can be done? That's the big question. What can be done at this point? Because the students will have to leave these buildings. The students can't stay in there and sleep in there and learn in these spaces. So what can be done? They gonna have to go to school at some other property, another HBCU, or what? What are you hearing?
I gave you the face because I thought you was like, is another Hall of Fame coach coming? But
oh no, hell no.
Hell no. There ain't nobody about to walk through that door. National search my ass. Anyway, I don't know, man, because listen, one thing about black people, and I'm black, we got egos. We got egos, man. And if it's like, I got this, I can handle it. It's not that bad. And it's bad. Oh, it's bad. So it's just a lot of egos. Is the board of trustees going to reach out to another institution? You know what I'm saying? They have to initiate that contact. They have to initiate, because FAMU, I believe, is about 3 to 4 hour drive, maybe Tallahassee. Yeah. Oh, no, Daytona. It might be a 4 or 5 hour drive. So that's I don't know where else you're going to go. Maybe you go to Florida Memorial, or maybe you go to Edward Waters. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a little closer in the vicinity, because I think it's only 4 HBCUs in Florida. But I mean, it takes a great leader to see that and kind of, put that in the forefront and say, hey, let's Let's take this to, let's have them go virtual for a while we get this stuff handled, send them back home or send them down to Florida Memorial or whatever while we get this thing handled. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. If I'm
hey, bro, before they even send folks back home, they better make sure they get tested.
Listen, bro.
You know what? And I know I'm being dead ass serious, bro.
Right.
You're going to have to now. That's the added burden because COVID is still present.
Yep.
So now you're still going to have to check to see if any students that had suffered from asthma, staying in that space, right, going to classes or whatever, they're going to have to get tested. Man, I'm telling you, it is, look, whew.
Let me tell you this. If my son or daughter was going there and they had like an asthma attack or something, because I have asthma, and my kids have an asthma attack or something, it's going to be Bethune-Cookman, Scotty University.
Hey, Scotty, that's what I told Dr. Nichols earlier today. A situation like this, and look, trust and believe. I don't want to see an HBCU fall, but at the end of the day, folks, nothing is worse than seeing your own people mistreat mistreat you and your children.
Come on.
No, don't give me no black stuff then. Don't give me no black stuff then, because there's no way in the world that folks, whether you're talking about the head of facilities, the president, there's no way in the world you didn't know that these conditions existed. There's no way in the world you can convince me that, I just found out.
Let me ask you this, Fraji. Let's keep it a buck.
Come on.
If it was a PWI, right? And it was a basketball dorm, a football dorm. Jesse Jackson would be there. Ricky Smiley would be there. Al Sharpton would be there. Roland Martin would be covered. Like, it would be pandemonium at that institute.
That's the other part about it, because some of us tend to believe like we wouldn't respond like this in PWIs. Yes, we would.
Come on, man.
If you found that Harvard or Yale or Columbia or Stanford had a problem, look, we blasted them for their involvement in the transatlantic slave trade that happened hundreds of years ago.
Let's not play that game.
So why wouldn't we blast them for, but see, again, you said this. Why put yourself in a position? Why are you giving people the ammunition? Like, come on, man. Come on, man. We got to do better by each other first, man. We got to do better by each other first. And you want to talk about what we cultivating the next generation of future black leaders.
Yeah.
You call to the next generation of future black leaders that hate black folks. That will hate black folks because why? We screw ourselves over again. We screw the next generation over again. I have no like, you can't convince me. Again, you cannot convince me that they did not know that these conditions didn't exist. No, you can't convince me, bro. You can't convince me. Look, we gotta take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's switch gears. Let's talk about Shannon.
Let's talk about him.
Let's talk about Shannon. What the hell was that? We're going to talk about Shannon Sharpe. Stay with us, folks. A lot to get to as we talk to my man Scotty from Off Script TV, and we talk sports. Stay with us. It's The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037- 0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking to my guy, Scotty, our sports contributor here. He serves as the host of Off Script TV. Y'all can find him on YouTube and on social media. But we've been talking all things sports, some of the heavier topics in sports, like what's going on with Ed Reed and Bethune-Cookman. To now we want to shift gears to talk about the situation with Shannon Sharpe. I should call this, I want to bring Scotty back into the frame. I should call this part when Black Hall of Famers go wild.
Yeah, okay.
We start off with Ed Reed. Now we got Shannon Sharpe. Bro, so here's the thing, folks. Shannon Sharpe went to a Lakers-Grizzlies game. He got into some words with Dylan Brooks. Mm-hmm. And he essentially just said Dylan Brooks can't guard LeBron James. He's too small. Apparently, Dylan Brooks got some wind of that Shannon said that and told Shannon to go F himself. Of course, Shannon responded, F you. And then they going back and forth. Next thing you know, Dylan Brooks is having a problem. Then John Morant comes over. Then Ja's father, T. Morant, comes over. Everybody is having a problem. And Keita, find a picture of Shannon looking like Superman coming out of the Cliff Huxtable sweater.
It was like 4 patches of blue. I'm like, yo.
Hey, yo, Shannon was like, hey, Scotty, Shannon was like, don't make me come out of this Cliff Huxtable sweater. I'll show you a different world.
Something's wrong with you, bro. Don't let the sweater fool you. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like,
but Shannon big as hell, bro.
Oh man.
He's like, look, let me. Shannon is like 50-something.
Oh,
no, 50-something years old. He going at it with a 20-something year old young NBA player, right? And Shannon, you can clearly tell that Shannon works out.
Oh, Jesus.
Shannon said, Shannon was like, don't let the sweater fool you, bro.
Hey, listen.
I will take your ass to school, young man. Look, and when you mess with older black men that work out, hey, Scott, put my when you gotta show my face on it. When you mess with older black men working out, you ain't talking about 5 and 6 rounds. You're talking about round 1 and round 2. That's it, baby.
They gonna give you all they got. Go give you all they got.
They give you 2 rounds, buddy. That's it.
Heavy breathing. Now, you had enough? Like, no, have you had enough? Like, oh man.
Now, we do have to say that Shannon was pissed off, but however, the story didn't end there. Actually, they were able to, once they removed Shannon from off the courtside seat, took him into the tunnel. He had a time to breathe. He actually came back and he apologized. And they were showing some signs of love. He talked to Ja, he talked to T. Morant. They all gave hugs and laughing and, just the passion of the game. So Shannon put out this apology today. Yeah. Take a look at this apology, folks. I want to make sure we give the whole story. But that was the first one. Yeah, they didn't want this smoke. That's the first one. That's what Shannon put. Hey, let me tell you something, Skip. They didn't want this smoke, Skip. They didn't want this smoke, Skip.
Yeah.
They didn't want this smoke. Don't let this Jello pudding sweater fool you, Skip. I will break. So he put out this apology. Take a look at this. He said, I take full responsibility for what transpired. It does not matter what Dylan Brooks said or how many times he said it. Me being the responsible person, me having the platform I have and having so many people look up to me, I was wrong. I should have lowered the temperature in the arena. Instead, I turned the temperature all the way up and let it get out of hand, Skip.
Boy, that looks.
Right, Scotty. Boy. Scotty, what do you make of this, bro?
Listen, man. He's a competitor, bro. Like it's something in you when you're a former athlete and a competitor. You just get turned up. You know what I'm saying? Like you get turned up. It just is what it is. But it's just in the sweater though. Somebody said in the comments, and I thought this was hilarious. It said he looked like a walking ocean wave. Like, shout out to Conscious for that. That's hilarious, bro. Like I just in the sweater though. Like
my culture crew, they dying, yo.
That was a good one.
Real Brooklyn says Shannon got that old man strength. That old man strength will take you down, young buck.
Yeah, that's real. Now that old man strength is that.
Hey, look, that strength. That's old man. They don't even call it strength. They go strength.
Hey, with the FTH.
That old man strength.
That thing is real.
Hey, look, I don't know if we have the video. Hey, Scotty, I know you saw the video. Where he was telling, I think Dylan, he was telling him to come forward. He kept doing like a route. Like, come on over here. No. He was telling him, he was like directing him like, no, take that slant and then go and come right here. Come right here. Let me tell you something, Dylan. Come on over here and say that to my face, Dylan.
Man, listen.
Look, say that to my face.
I like what Dylan said.
Tell me you want this pudding over here.
I like what Dylan No. But I like what Dylan said.
Look, trust it. Look, I'm not mad. Look. Please don't get it twisted. Look at LeBron.
Calm down. I got you. Calm down. I know you rock with me, but calm down now. Calm down. It's not that serious. Calm down.
Hey, look, LeBron.
I don't know if you remember when LeBron told his mom to shut up and sit down. That was in Cleveland. Like, so LeBron, LeBron don't believe, listen, he's like, I'm gonna handle it. I remember when he was in Cleveland, he told his mom to shut up and sit down. Now my mama wouldn't have gone for that, but no.
Well, when you paying the bills,
yeah, it's a little different. Yeah.
When you say, hey, mama, shut up, sit down.
Not never.
You just, hey, Scotty, just get real small on the camera, like.
Yeah, not yeah. Not my mama, though. Mamas, I know we say a lot of black mamas, you know, they take a lot of the same class.
No.
My mama ain't going for that.
I'm not doing that. I wouldn't do that to my mama.
I'm 6'8". My mama's still gonna be like, I'll take you out this world. Stop playing.
Hey, no, but real talk. But like Shannon Sharpe is a cultural icon now with this. I mean, the platform is huge. Absolutely. Like I think more people listen to Shannon Sharpe now than they probably did when he was playing football.
Absolutely.
So you feel like he handled it like the apology was a good apology?
As good as it's gonna get. You know what I'm saying? The thing about it is see, this is what happens when you make statements earlier in your media career, and people can bring that stuff up. All the times where he said people on the sideline shouldn't be talking, and they think they're privileged to have those because they pay an absorbent amount of money and things like that. But what you fail to realize is when you in that same situation, how things turned. So you can no longer say, oh, they should have done better or knew better. You then put yourself and say, hey, Skip, I've been there. You know, the heat of the battle, you say something that you don't mean to say. So it's just correcting your actions. And now you can be more empathetic to a lot of people that you've been so hard on previously. So yeah, that's really the new outlook he should have going forward.
Oh yeah, he go watch. Somebody gonna say he needs anger management problems. I know it. They're gonna be like, Shannon Sharpe needs anger management problems. Let me tell you something, Skip.
It's just bad. It's just a bad look for black men. You know, like
it is.
It's just those type of things, right? Because it's like, oh, black men are angry and black people are angry. And it's like,
but
bro,
you know what though, Scotty? And you know what? That's true. But white sports fans are worse.
Way worse.
Way worse. White sports fans. Remember, and I know everybody remember that moment that the real big fight with Ron Artest.
Malice in the Palace. Everybody
come on, y'all remember that? Yeah. And the thing that set Ron Artest off.
White man throwing a beer.
Now I'm gonna lay on this commentator's booth real quick because I'm gonna chill out. But you threw your beer at me, bro, and you think that that's cool. I'm gonna show you what the NBA is all about. You think that's cool? Like you don't like he threw the beer like there was a cage around the court, like there was a wall of barrier. Like I'm gonna just throw this beer and this man ain't going to respond.
Yeah, so you know I was mad. Like yeah.
Ron Artest ran up in his chest. No kidding, you did not throw.
That boy works fast. He worked fast.
I'm not kidding, boy. Y'all remember? Look at Ron Artest is on the commentator's booth. Look at it. He chilling. He got the Kanye type of vibe right now. Like I don't know what happened. Okay, he good. Then that one moment. This is what I remember watching this live. And this was the heat of game. Scotty, I know you remember watching it.
I wasn't watching it live. I remember watching all the highlights after.
I watched this thing live, bro. So there it is. And he look Ron Artest trying to give an interview. It's just this is what happened. Look at take the damn things off, man. Take it off. So I mean, it happens in sports. Sports get the best of you. It's a passionate thing. It happens.
Absolutely.
It happens. But I'm glad Shannon was able to deal with it. I'm glad he was able to deal with it. I'm glad that as far as I know, there weren't any like fines or anything like that were administered. Is that correct?
Nah, no fines.
Nobody got. Okay. All right, cool. All right, look, final thing I want to get your take on Mr. Rand Carthen, the new black GM
Titans.
for the Tennessee Titans. How big is that?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. The one thing I hate is that he will now be the standard of black GMs. Like that's the thing that I see. White people are allowed to get in that position, F it up, and then be like, "Oh, white people still gonna be GMs." You know what I'm saying? You give them the opportunity to be a GM, which is great. if he's not good at it, then that sets black GMs back another 3 or 4 years before another team hires a black GM. So I hate that he has all that pressure and burden on him to be great or just to be good. You know what I'm saying? So I hope I hope he knocks it out the park. I really do. I really, really hope he does. But once again, it's just that he has this mantle he's holding for black men looking to have that position that is unfair. It just really is unfair.
He's sitting into a coveted class. My favorite GM, of course, is Ozzie Newsome, who is the GM of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
And Ozzie Newsome has been credited with bringing some of the most dynamic talent to the field, including Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, many others, even Lamar Jackson.
That was his last pick before he left. Yep.
Before he retired from that position. Yep. So but the Tennessee Titans have decided to move forward with Mr. Ron Carthon. And this is a historic moment in Tennessee because they never had a black GM as part of their team. And I'm wondering, and it's unfortunate that this kind of that doesn't overshadow, but this is a part of the conversation. Like, is it more political than anything for them to pick a black man as the GM of a team like the Titans?
And that makes the question makes it even worse for Raji. It's like he can't just be good enough at his job.
He can't just be good enough, unfortunately.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry.
Gender and motive, but that's the stuff that surrounds, it surrounds the NFL. It surrounds black people progressing in the NFL. Oh, did they do it because of Black Lives Matter? Did they do it because of the Rooney Rule?
Right.
It's all that type of stuff surrounding it. And think about it. Even Ozzie Newsome being as beloved and as great as he was for the Ravens, it takes another, 4 to 5 years before another team hires a black GM?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think the Detroit Lions have a black GM, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they have a black GM as well. So, but it's just the little dots here and there that come about it. But listen, I don't know if there's a political agenda. I don't know if there's a hidden motive. All I'm saying is my brother, get in there and kill it. Get in there and kill it. That's all I can do.
Absolutely. All right. I saw something that made me think of you, Scotty. Demar Hamlin. We know that he was able to attend the Bills game. They gave him a standing ovation. They showed him a lot of love, but they said pretty much, made me think back to our conversation that we had about his future. That young brother will not be playing football again. Here's why, folks. Unfortunately, his heart condition is much more serious than expected, that he's going to have to put his body on rest. He will not be able to withstand the pain and the pressure, the hits that you see in the NFL. And so we may have just seen the last of Demar Hamlin as a Buffalo Bills player. And we might see Demar Hamlin, and of course, in other spaces, and I hope so. But his heart is in a serious condition where he needs to get rest. And his family is saying that, and doctors are saying that football may not be in his future. So it's a very, very serious and sad situation.
Okay, two things. One, if the Bills do great PR, if I was on the PR team, I would hire him in the company, like in the Bills organization, make him a scout, making him assistant to the scout, team personnel guy, ball boy, water boy. It don't matter. I would hire him on the Buffalo staff. That's just for good PR. And the second thing, I don't give a damn if the doc said he was 100% a go. Buffalo was not going to put that boy back on the field for no reason, because I'm not about to take the liability for you. So one, if Bills will do some good PR, hire him in the Buffalo Bills staff or the organization, put him up in sales, put him somewhere to where you can be like, see, we take care of our players. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I would do.
There it is. My man Scotty always checking in with the latest news in sports, and we always appreciate him. Love having him on. Scotty, how can folks find you?
Man, you can find me on YouTube, man. I'm actually going live at like 5:15 today. So if you want to check over, you can come to Off Script and talk about, we just gonna, do some crazy stuff. We're gonna get into it, baby. That's just what we do.
There it is. Scotty always got the scoop. Off Script TV. Follow him on all social media platforms and check him out and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Scotty, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Always, Faraji. Appreciate it. Anytime, man.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you. I thank my dynamic team, my man Keenan, Joel, my control room. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, of course, my online culture crew. Let me tell you something, Skip. Folks, thank you. Thank you. Man, oh, man. I'm going to tell y'all, that Shannon Sharpe picture, that's going to be, I should post that somewhere, man. Just like, this is my new Superman meme. Can we do that? That's a meme waiting to happen. When somebody says you something like you can't do something, you give them that look. Like, watch me, Skip. Watch me. My man Shannon Sharpe. There it is, Uncle Shannon. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. Make sure y'all do y'all due diligence. Support us here at Black Star Network, because you're not going to find any other conversation the way that we have it about the stuff that we talk about on any other platform. Make sure you go to blackstarnetwork.com. And we, of course, are looking for your support, financial support, sharing it, downloading the app for free. And, of course, folks, we want you to follow us on all social media platforms at Black Star Network on IG, Black Star Network on Twitter as well. Also, while you're on social media, make sure you hit me up at The Real Faraji. I'm going to be found on IG at The Real Faraji, on Twitter at Faraji. I would love to connect with you. And, of course, as we have been saying, folks, Black Star Network is officially on the Amazon platform. So make sure that you check us out. If you got an Amazon Fire TV, tell Alexa to play news, to play the culture from Black Star Network. But just play the news from Black Star Network, and you will see all of the dynamic programming that we have streaming right now on Amazon Fire TV. That's going to do it for us right now. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Peace.